I learned early how to be quiet. My name is Adam, and this house was never mine, even though my shoes sat by the door and my room smelled like me. When Mom married Richard, she smiled and said, "We're a family now." I nodded and believed her. At dinner, Evan would scrape his fork loud. "Why does he stare like that?" Evan asked. "I'm not staring," I said. "He always does," Evan snapped. "It's creepy." "Evan, eat," Mom said softly. Richard cleared his throat. Boys being boys. I swallowed my words. I always did. Later, Evan shoved past me in the hallway. "Move." "I was already here," I said. "So," he replied, "get used to it." I told myself patience was strength. If I stayed calm, they'd see me. Nights were worse. Plates clinked, chairs scraped, and silence pressed my chest. Mom would ask, "School okay?" "Yeah," I said. Evan laughed. "He failed math." "I passed," I said. "Barely," Evan said. "Mom, did you see his test?" "Enough," Mom whispered. Richard sighed. "Evan, relax." Evan smirked at me. "See." I went to my room and closed the door, counting breaths. 1, 2, 3. I imagined Mom knocking, saying, "I see you." She never did. One night, I heard yelling. Evan shouted, "He took my charger." "I didn't," I said from the stairs. "Don't lie," Evan yelled. Richard's voice was sharp. "Adam, apologize." "For what?" I asked. "Just do it," Mom said, eyes tired. "I'm sorry," I said, even though my hands shook. "Good," Richard said. "Problem solved." Evan smiled like he'd won something. I learned the rules fast. Don't argue. Don't complain. Don't exist too loudly. When Evan slammed doors, Mom said, "He's stressed." When Evan broke my headphones, Richard said, "Accidents happen." When I stayed quiet, they said nothing at all. Sometimes Mom would sit beside me on the couch. "You okay?" "I'm fine," I said, because that answer kept peace. "You know Evan's adjusting," she said. "I am too," I said. She patted my knee. "You're strong." I wanted to scream. That strength felt like disappearing. At school, teachers said, "Speak up." At home, silence kept me safe. Evan would glare and whisper, "Snitch," if I talked back. Once he said, "You don't belong here." I believed him. Still, hope clung to me. I thought if I helped more, smiled more, waited longer, they'd choose me too. I washed dishes. I folded laundry. I laughed at Evan's jokes when they hurt. One evening, Richard raised his glass. "To family." "To family," Mom said. Evan clinked his glass and looked at me. "Yeah," he said, "family." I smiled, practicing belonging. Inside, something trembled, like a warning I didn't yet understand. I went to bed that night thinking, tomorrow they'll see me. Tomorrow, I'll matter. Days blurred together. Evan would say, "You walk weird." And I'd answer, "Okay." Mom would watch and ask, "Can you two stop?" Richard would mutter, "Ignore him." I tried. One afternoon, Evan kicked my backpack. "Pick it up." "It's mine," I said. "So," he said, "pick it up." "Evan," Mom said, "be nice." He laughed. "Relax, Mom." Richard shrugged. "He's joking." I bent down and felt small. In the kitchen, Mom whispered, "Don't push him." "I didn't," I said. "I know," she replied. "But keep peace." "I am," I said. She kissed my head and walked away. That night, Evan stood in my doorway. "You tell on me?" "No," I said. "Good," he said. "Remember your place." I stared at the ceiling, counting cracks, promising myself I could last. I believed love was earned by endurance. I believed silence was temporary. I believed homes could change. At breakfast, Richard read the paper. "Practice tonight," he said to Evan. "Cool," Evan replied. I asked, "Can you come to my debate?" Richard didn't look up. "We'll see." Mom smiled weakly. "Another time." Evan smirked. "Told you." I nodded and said, "It's fine." Inside, fear curled. Something bad hovered, unnamed. I didn't know when it would strike. Only that this house was teaching me how to disappear before it did. That belief kept me breathing. I told myself tomorrow would be softer. I told myself they loved me, just quietly. I listened to footsteps, doors, laughter not meant for me. I waited for proof. I didn't see the shadow forming, but I felt it growing closer. Even now, I remember that hope, fragile and dangerous, holding me still when I should have run back then alone. I woke to footsteps at 2 a.m. The clock glowed red, steady, judging me. My door creaked, and Evan shoved it open. He smelled like beer and rage. "What are you doing?" I asked. Don't play stupid, he said. You stole my life. I don't know what you mean, I said. You breathe my air, he yelled. You take space. Mom looks at you. She's my mother, I said. He laughed, loud and broken. Not really. Please leave, I said. Say it, he said. Say you ruined me. I didn't, I said. He stepped closer. You always act innocent. Evan, you're drunk, I said. So he snapped. Dad drinks. Put it down, I said, seeing the knife. See, he said. You're afraid. Yes, I said. I am. That's new, he said, smiling. I tried to stand. He lunged. I felt heat, then pressure, then fire tearing my side. Air left my lungs. I fell, hands slick, brain screaming no. You stabbed me, I said. Stop lying, he said. You're dramatic. Blood soaked the carpet. My legs shook. I crawled, choking. Mom, I yelled. Help. Footsteps rushed. The light snapped on. Mom gasped. Richard stared. What happened? Mom asked. He attacked me, I said. Evan scoffed. He ran into it. Richard laughed, sharp and nervous. Jesus, Evan. Mom covered her mouth, then laughed too. Boys, she said. Always fighting. I'm bleeding, I said. Don't exaggerate, Richard said. It's a scratch. I pressed my hand harder. Warmth kept coming. My vision tunneled. Call an ambulance, I said. Evan rolled his eyes. He wants attention. Adam, calm down, Mom said. You're scaring us. I can't breathe, I said. Richard sighed. Family drama at 2 in the morning. Please, I said. I'm dying. Mom looked at the floor. Evan, apologize. Sorry, Evan said, smirking. That's enough, Richard said. Go to bed. I laughed and cried together. He stabbed me. Richard shrugged. Accidents happen. I screamed. The sound ripped out of me. Pain roared. Lower your voice, Mom said. Neighbors. Good, I said. Let them hear. Evan kicked my foot. Shut up. Don't, Mom said weakly. Blood pooled. My hand slipped. The room spun. I love you, I said to Mom. Help me. She froze. You're fine. I heard a door slam next door. A voice shouted, Is someone hurt? Yes, I screamed. Richard cursed. Great. Mom finally grabbed her phone. Her hands shook. Okay, she said. Okay. Sirens came later. Too late. As they lifted me, Evan whispered, See? Always causing trouble. I stared at the ceiling, cold, betrayed, knowing this was the moment our family died. They carried me down the stairs. I begged again. Please, I said. Stay with me. Mom walked behind the stretcher. You're overreacting, she said. I'm scared, I said. Richard joked to the medic. Teen stuff. Sir, the medic said, step back. Evan leaned on the railing. Told you, he said. I grabbed the medic's sleeve. He did this, I said. The medic nodded. I hear you. That was the first time anyone did. In the ambulance, I shook. Call my mom, I said. She's here, the medic said. I need her, I said. Mom stared at her phone. You'll be fine, she said. I laughed weakly. You always say that. Richard said nothing. I watched red lights smear the night. Why don't you care? I asked. Mom sighed. This is a lot, she said. It's my blood, I said. She flinched. Stop guilt-tripping, she said. The medic pressed gauze. Stay with me, he said. I am, I whispered. I closed my eyes. I remembered dinners, silence, hope. I tried, I said. No one answered. At the doors, I heard Evan's laugh echo. Drama, he said. I opened my eyes. I'm still here, I said. The medic squeezed my hand. Hold on. I did. I promised myself something broke tonight. Not just skin. Trust shattered. Love ended. The house was never mine. This pain proved it. I would survive, even if they didn't want me. That thought burned brighter than fear. I carried it into the dark, away from them. I stopped believing silence could save me. I knew screaming was the only truth. At last, someone listened. Even if it wasn't my family. I let go of hope. I held on to breath. Morning waited. So did consequences. I drifted, hurting, awake. I was done begging. I chose myself. At 2 a.m., everything broke. I learned the cost of waiting. I learned who they were. I learned who I had to be. Blood taught me faster than love. Pain answered questions. Silence ended. I survived. They failed. The truth screamed louder than lies. I would remember this night forever. I would not forget. I would not forgive. I breathed that I lived. I was awake that I was done. I woke up to white light and steady beeping. My body felt heavy, stitched together, aching. I said, hello, and my voice sounded borrowed. No one answered. I waited, counting breaths, hoping footsteps would come. A nurse leaned in. "You're awake," she said. "Did my parents come?" I asked. She paused. "Not yet." "When?" I asked. She didn't answer that. Hours dragged. Machines hummed. I stared at my phone. No calls. No texts. I said, "He's home, right?" And the nurse looked away. "Yes," she said. "Free?" I asked. "Yes." I laughed, sharp and broken. "Of course." A woman entered with calm eyes. "I'm Maria," she said. "I'll be with you today." I said, "Do people usually get visitors after surgery?" "Most do," she said gently. "Oh," I said. "Good for them." She adjusted my blanket. "How are you feeling?" "Alive," I said. "Apparently." "That counts," she said. "I keep thinking they'll show up," I said. "Like they're just late." Maria met my eyes. "Waiting hurts." "I'm used to it," I said. "That's the problem." She held my hand. "You don't deserve this." I swallowed. "He almost killed me." "You survived," she said. "Because strangers cared," I said. "Not my family." Maria said softly. "Family isn't always blood." I turned my face away. "I feel guilty for being angry." "Why?" she asked. "Because he's my brother," I said. "Because my mom will cry." Maria replied, "You were stabbed." "I know," I said. "But I keep hearing her say, 'Keep peace.'" A knock came. A man stood near the door. "I'm Detective Harris," he said. "I won't stay long." I said, "They already decided it was an accident." He nodded. "That's what Evans said." "And you don't believe him?" I said. "I believe evidence," he replied. I asked, "What happens if I talk?" "Truth gets recorded," Harris said. "Choices follow." I looked at Maria. "If I speak, I break my family." She said, "Your family broke you." Harris added, "His story doesn't fit your wounds." I whispered, "He said I stole his life." "That matters," Harris said. I laughed weakly. "Everything matters now." "Yes," he said. I stared at the ceiling. "I learned how to stay quiet to survive." Maria said, "You survived anyway." "But silence didn't save me," I said. Harris waited. "Are you ready?" "No," I said. "But I'm done pretending." Fear shook my hands. "If I press charges, my mom will hate me." Maria said, "If you don't, you'll hate yourself." I closed my eyes. "I already do." Harris spoke softly. "This is your decision." I breathed in pain and antiseptic. "I'm tired of bleeding for peace." Maria squeezed my hand. "Say it." I opened my eyes. "I want to give a statement." Harris nodded. "I'll document everything." As he wrote, I spoke. I said his name. I said what he did. I said how they laughed. Each word hurt, then healed. When Harris left, Maria stayed. "I'm proud of you," she said. I whispered, "I'm scared." "That means you're alive," she replied. I rested back. The room felt quieter, safer. I was still alone, but not invisible. I chose myself. I survived what they didn't care about. I gave my statement that morning. My voice shook, but I didn't stop. When my parents arrived, Mom screamed, "How could you do this to us?" I told the truth, I said. Richard pointed at me. "You're destroying this family." "There was nothing left to destroy," I said. Mom cried. "You betrayed your own blood." "He stabbed me," I said. "He's your brother," she yelled. "He tried to kill me," I replied. Richard leaned close. "You're dead to us." "I've been dead here for years," I said. The jail phone rang that night. Evan's voice was calm. "You think you won?" "I think I survived," I said. "You'll regret this," he said. "I already did," I answered. He laughed. "They chose me." "They always did," I said, and hung up. I packed one bag. Clothes, documents, my phone. Mom blocked the door. "Where do you think you're going?" "Somewhere safe," I said. "You're overreacting," she said. "I'm leaving," I said. Richard sneered. "Don't come back." "I won't," I said. Outside, the air felt strange, lighter. I had nowhere to go. I sat on the curb and breathed. A woman met me the next day. "I'm Ms. Carter," she said. "I'm your lawyer." "I don't have money," I said. "I know," she replied. "You have evidence." "I have scars," I said. "That counts," she said. She spread papers. "This isn't just one night." "I know," I said. "Threats," she said. "Neglect. Witnesses. Patterns." "My life," I said. "Yes," she said. "Years erased." I felt sick. "They'll say I'm lying." "They already are," she said. "That won't stop us." I whispered, "I feel guilty." "For what?" she asked. "For choosing myself," I said. She leaned forward. That choice saved you. I started writing everything down. Dates, words, silences. He said, know your place, I told her. She nodded. That matters. Mom said, keep peace, I said. That matters too, she replied. I shook. I thought endurance was love. It was survival, she said. Calls kept coming. Drop the charges, Mom said. No, I said. You're tearing us apart, she cried. You let him tear me open, I said. Richard texted, this ends badly. I replied, it already did. Miss Carter said, they're afraid. Of what? I asked. Truth, she said. I slept on a borrowed couch. I woke without footsteps, without fear. I felt empty, then steady. Evan called again. You're alone, he said. I finally am, I replied. He cursed. You think you're better? I think I'm alive, I said. He went quiet. I wrote late into the night. Bruises. Broken things. Dinners where laughter skipped me. I said it all out loud to paper. Miss Carter read my notes. This changes everything, she said. It already did, I replied. I realized the stabbing wasn't the beginning. It was the proof. The choice I made wasn't betrayal. It was truth. I closed my notebook. I won't be erased again, I said. Miss Carter smiled. Good, she said. I walked outside. The sky looked open. I had nothing. I had myself. That was enough. I didn't look back. I sat at the wooden table and kept my hands still. Evan didn't look at me. My parents sat behind him. Mom whispered, this didn't have to happen. It already did, I said. The bailiff called the room to order. Judge Reynolds entered, calm and unreadable. Proceed, he said. Prosecutor Allen stood. The state calls Adam. My legs felt weak as I stood. I raised my hand. I swear, I said, voice tight. Allen asked, what time did the incident occur? 2 a.m., I said. Who entered your room? He asked. Evan, I said. I heard Mom sigh. Evan shook his head. Allen said, tell us what happened. I swallowed. He accused me of stealing his life. Evan's lawyer said, objection. Judge Reynolds replied, overruled. I continued. He was drunk. He had a knife. Flashbacks slammed me. Red clock. Heavy footsteps. I blinked hard. Allen asked softly, what did he do? He stabbed me, I said. Mom whispered loudly, he exaggerates. Judge Reynolds said, quiet. I felt my chest tighten. I fell, I said. I bled. I begged. Allen nodded. No further questions. Evan's lawyer stood. You provoked him, didn't you? No, I said. You argued, he pressed. I tried to leave, I said. You hated him, he said. I feared him, I replied. Mom took the stand next. She looked at me like I was a stranger. Adam was always sensitive, she said. Allen asked, did you see Evan stab him? No, Mom said. Boys fight. I whispered. I was dying. Richard testified. Adam pushed him, he said. Evan reacted. I clenched my jaw. Evan smiled small. Evan took the stand. I loved my brother, he said. He attacked me. I laughed once sharp. The judge stared. I stopped. Allen stood again. Let's review evidence. Screens lit up. Security footage played. Evan staggering in the hallway. The knife flashing. Me falling. Mom gasped. That's not. Judge Reynolds raised a hand. Enough. Allen held up papers. Text messages sent hours before. He read aloud. I should end him. He doesn't belong. Evan went pale. Allen continued. Medical reports show an angled wound consistent with attack, not accident. Evan's lawyer objected. Speculation. Judge Reynolds leaned forward. Denied. I felt air return to my lungs. Allen asked Evan, did you send these messages? Evan stammered. I was angry. Did you stab him? Allen asked. Silence. Answer. Judge Reynolds said. Yes, Evan whispered. Mom cried out. Evan. I stared at them. Control drained from their faces. Allen concluded, the truth is clear. Judge Reynolds nodded slowly. I have heard enough. As the gavel struck, my knees shook. I sat down, heart racing. Mom wouldn't look at me. Richard stared ahead. Evan was led away. He looked back once. No threat. Just fear. Outside, Allen said, you did well. I just told the truth, I said. He nodded. That was enough. I stood alone on the courthouse steps. Flashbacks faded. My parents walked past me without a word. For the first time, their silence felt small. I breathed. I was still here. I stood when the clerk said my name. The room felt smaller, tighter, like it was holding its breath with me. Evan stared at the table. My parents sat stiff, hands folded, pretending control. Judge Reynolds looked down. "We are ready for the verdict," he said. My heart pounded. I whispered, "Please." The clerk read, "On the charge of aggravated assault, we find the defendant guilty." Evan shook his head. "No," he said. "No, no." My mom gasped. Richard grabbed her arm. Judge Reynolds continued, "This court also finds a pattern of negligence by the guardians involved." The room went silent. The judge looked directly at my parents. "You failed your duty." Mom's lips trembled. "We did our best." Judge Reynolds replied, "Your best allowed violence." Evan stood suddenly. "It was a mistake," he yelled. He pushed me. "Sit down," the judge said. Evan dropped back into his chair, shaking. "I didn't mean it." Judge Reynolds said, "Intent was proven." I felt tears rise, not from sadness, but release. The judge spoke again. "You dismissed warning signs. You laughed while your son bled." Mom whispered, "We were scared." Judge Reynolds said, "So was he." Richard lowered his head. Evan started crying. "Mom," he said. "Mom, help me." She reached out, then froze. Judge Reynolds finished. "This court sentences the defendant accordingly." The gavel struck. Final. Loud. Evan broke. He sobbed, loud and messy. "I'm sorry," he cried. "I didn't think. I didn't listen." I stood there, breathing, alive, whole in a way I'd never been. The room emptied slowly. People whispered. Chairs scraped. My parents turned toward me. Mom said softly, "Adam." I didn't answer. She stepped closer. "Son." That word felt strange. Richard said, "We should talk." "About what?" I asked. Mom cried. "We lost everything." "You lost control," I said. Evan was led past us. He didn't look at me. He looked small. Mom reached for my sleeve. "Please." I stepped back. "Don't." Richard said, "We didn't know it was that bad." "I told you," I said. Mom shook her head. "You should have said more." "I was bleeding," I replied. She flinched. "Were your parents?" "You were my witnesses," I said. "You laughed." Richard said, "We were confused." "I was dying," I said. Mom whispered, "We love you." I met her eyes. "You loved silence." She sobbed. "I called you son." "You called me invisible," I said. Richard swallowed. "We can fix this." "I already did," I said. They stood there, broken, ashamed, powerless. Mom said, "Where will you go?" "Forward," I said. She reached out again. "Adam." I walked past them. Outside, the sun hit my face. I closed my eyes and breathed. No footsteps followed. No shouting. No fear. Prosecutor Allen nodded at me. "It's over." "It's begun," I said. He smiled slightly. "Fair enough." I sat on the courthouse steps. My hands stopped shaking. I thought of the house, the silence, the waiting. It was done. I stood up. Behind me, I heard Mom call, "Please." I didn't turn. For the first time, they watched me leave. I wasn't running. I wasn't hiding. I wasn't quiet. When the judge spoke, the truth became louder than blood. I carried that sound with me. It felt like freedom. I walked away. I didn't look back. I never would. Months passed quietly. I woke early, made coffee, and learned my own rhythm. Therapy started on Tuesdays. Work filled the afternoons. Nights stayed calm. I told my therapist, "Silence feels different now." She asked, "Better or worse?" "Honest," I said. At work, my manager said, "You're doing well." "Thank you," I replied. He nodded. "You seem focused." "I finally am," I said. Therapy wasn't magic. I said, "I still hear his voice." She replied, "What do you say back?" "I say, 'You're gone,'" I answered. "That's progress," she said. I rented a small place. No shouting. No footsteps at night. I invited no one at first. Peace felt fragile. I protected it. One evening, a coworker asked, "Want to grab dinner?" I hesitated. "Maybe another time." "Sure," she said. "Whenever." Choice felt new. I followed the news online. Evan was sentenced. I didn't read details. I already knew the ending. I closed the tab and breathed. My parents' names appeared too. Headlines whispered. Neighbors talked. Invitations disappeared. Their world shrank. I told my therapist, "I don't feel happy." She said, "You don't have to." "I feel lighter," I said. "That matters," she replied. A letter arrived with familiar handwriting. I stared at it for a long time. My hands shook. I opened it. "Adam," my mother wrote, "I am so sorry. I failed you. Please forgive me. I miss my son." I laughed once quietly. "You met him too late," I said to the paper. I folded the letter. I didn't burn it. I didn't answer it. I put it away. At therapy, I said, she wants forgiveness. What do you want? She asked. I want peace, I said. Do you have it? She asked. Some days, I said. At work, I got a raise. My manager smiled. You earned this. Thanks, I said. I called no one to celebrate. I cooked dinner and ate slowly. Later, I sat on the floor and said out loud, I survived. No one argued. Sometimes memories rose. Blood, laughter, silence. I said, not today. They listened. A friend asked, do you miss them? I miss the idea, I said. That makes sense, she replied. I walked home alone and felt okay. Justice didn't heal me. I said that once in therapy. It didn't fix anything. She said, what did it do? It opened the door, I said. To what? She asked. Me, I answered. I learned to sleep without fear. I learned to trust my body. I learned to speak before pain forced me. On a quiet night, I stood by the window. Cars passed. Lives moved. I said, I choose this. No one stopped me. I placed the letter in a box with old things. I closed it. I labeled it past. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't forgiving either. I was free. Life after blood wasn't loud. It was steady. It was mine. I turned off the light and rested. Tomorrow waited. So did I? I stood in front of the mirror and lifted my shirt. The scar stared back, pale and uneven. I touched it and said, you don't get to decide who I am. The room stayed quiet. I remembered a time when silence scared me. Now it listened. In therapy, my counselor once asked, what do you see when you look at that scar? I see proof, I said. Of what? She asked. That I lived, I replied. I ran my fingers over the skin again. You tried to end me, I whispered, and you failed. I thought of court, the shouting, the lies. I said, I didn't win. But another voice inside me answered, you survived. I walked outside and called my friend. I'm okay, I said. She laughed. You sound stronger. I am, I said. She asked, do you ever wish it ended differently? No, I said. I wish it ended. That's fair, she replied. I hung up and kept walking. People passed me, busy with their lives. None of them knew my story. That felt right. At home, I made dinner and sat alone. I said out loud, I choose myself. No one argued. No one laughed. I remembered begging for help. I remembered being ignored. I said, I don't beg anymore. The scar pulled when I moved. I winced and smiled. You're just skin, I said. I wrote in my notebook, not evidence this time, but truth. I am not broken, I wrote. I was hurt. I paused and added, there is a difference. My phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. I hope you're happy, it read. I typed back, then erased it. I set the phone down. I told myself, closure isn't an apology. It's walking forward. I thought about forgiveness. I said, maybe someday. Then I added, not today. I lay on the floor and breathed. In, out. Safe. I remembered the boy who stayed quiet to survive. I said to him, you did enough. Tears came, slow and honest. I didn't stop them. I stood again and faced the mirror. You didn't win, I told my reflection. But you lived. My reflection nodded. I packed away old papers, old memories. I didn't burn them. I didn't reread them. I closed the box. I labeled it then. I whispered, this is now. Outside, the sky dimmed. Evening settled gently. I opened a window and let cool air in. I said, I'm not afraid. The words felt real. I thought of the judge's voice, firm and final. I thought of the gavel. I thought of walking away. That moment didn't make me whole. It made me free. I sat on my bed and stretched my legs. The scar tugged again. I laughed softly. Still here, I said. I picked up a book and read a page. Then another. Life moved quietly around me. I didn't need revenge. I didn't need them to understand. I needed me. Before sleeping, I touched the scar once more. You're a chapter, I said, not the title. I turned off the light. In the dark, I smiled. I didn't win, but I survived. And this life, this one, is mine.